Hey, I'm here with Kevin Griggs. Kevin, tell me a little bit about what you do and for how long you've been doing it.
I'm a commercial photographer. I've been doing it for about 20 years. And we photograph commercial assets for real estate commercial brokers, ultimately, offering memorandums and year-end annual reports, that sort of thing.
Okay, awesome. So where do you want to take the business long term?
Well, we started with just 2 people and now we're at 4. We're not, a humongous corporation, but we do represent a substantial amount of transactions that happen in the Sun Belt. And so we've been trying to scale up to get to number 4 and 5 and 6. And it's been relatively successful, but that's what we're trying to do, is to build more staff, because we'll have assignments across multiple markets at the same time. Birmingham, Atlanta, Baton Rouge could all be happening in the same day for the same portfolio. And in order to pull those things off, you have to have many people out there in the field.
Yeah, absolutely. So who's the target market? Who do you help with your business?
Commercial brokers specifically,
Okay.
or I guess the marketing departments that they answer to, but ultimately we'll be beholden to the brokers. And that's kind of the hard door to get into, is to find brokers, there's a lot of them out there, and but not all of them are doing 100, 200, 400 billion dollar portfolio flips. They might just be doing a few million a year in a small mom and pop shop. But those are clients. Our biggest clients are multifamily brokerage teams across the Sun Belt, and in all markets, really.
Okay. Awesome. So, this is a point where I try and allow business owners to learn from one another. What is one mistake you've made or a lesson that you've learned as a business owner that other owners or entrepreneurs could learn from, irregardless of what industry they're in?
The hard thing is, every project or assignment you get, to treat it with the same amount of respect, no matter what the tier level is. So for us, we photograph buildings and big, beautiful high rises and 5-star hotels. All those things are beautiful. But we also photograph multifamily apartment complexes that could be in less financially advantageous areas. And while a Section 8 housing in southern Mississippi might not sound as like a fun assignment to do, but treating it with the same respect as you do a 4-star hotel, because ultimately the brokers, this is what they buy and sell. It's their product. So having the desire to always do a good job, no matter what the job is, will always end up generating more success and more confidence in people hiring you. If you've got a subpar product, Class C, you still want it to look good, and that's a hard thing for people to learn from. I even say the same thing for portrait photographers. You want to be a big time editorial fashion photographer. You have to photograph a lot of people, tons and tons and tons of photographs of people, and you're going to have to photograph beautiful people, ugly people, fat people, thin people, tall people, short people. You don't have to do it all good all the time. And in order to, and the shortest, fattest, most unattractive, hairy, whatever you want to call it, person you'll photograph might be the most influential one you shoot throughout your arc of your career. So that goes back to always doing the best job you can, no matter what the job is.
Yeah. So when you have those projects like that, do you find that as a challenge and motivation to try and produce, that high quality image of something that many people would think that, that's not the ideal object to be photographing?
Absolutely. Warehouses are one of my favorite things to photograph, just because they're big boxes of concrete. There's not spires and buttresses and stained glass and whatever, spiral staircases. It's flat walls. But it to itself has a function, and people who own it need that function to be illustrated. And so just like when you have a Section 8 house, or if you have a brand new in-city apartment complex, they all got pools, they all got front doors. So every time you get those things, if you stick to the program, take it seriously, take the time, always have successful results every time.
Yeah. Awesome. So have you had a coach or a mentor in your life that stood out, and why?
Yeah, I worked for an architectural photographer who does the same thing that we do
Mhm.
for 10 plus years, and he's still my mentor, and we collaborate still to this day.
Mhm.
About 10 years ago, we broke off from him because, you know, you had to get out from underneath his shadow, make a name for ourselves.
Yeah.
And in doing so, it gave us the ability to apply our formula out in the market and achieve some really big clients and some really interesting assignments. All the while, he's still sitting back there, and we're working together on multifamily projects.
Yeah.
And you know, I will. Just past week, we shot a performing arts center in North Highlands, North Carolina. It's brand new. And we did a project for the King and Queen building here in Atlanta, which is a prestigious icon. He's an architect that got to photograph, and that has no shortage of photographing it. So those projects took up a lot of time, but then I've got my mentor on the other side. And he said, I got 5 properties. I got to get these things shot. So then my number 2 and my number 3, they're out there helping all the pieces move fluidly. So anytime a client calls, can you do? The answer is yes. And having him as a mentor, having him as be like, what are you charging? What are you billing? How are you handling your thing? We're somewhat competitors in that we're in the same market, but we collaborate together to make each other stronger and more powerful and able to cater to other needs. I'll hire him for jobs. He shot hotels for me because I couldn't get there. I shot apartments for him because we couldn't get there, or the sheer magnitude of the scale of properties was something one person could never achieve.
Yeah, that's awesome, having that mindset of collaboration, because really, working together, we're all going to grow. It's just, being open and helping everyone grow at the same time. So what do you think the future looks like for your business? Are there any challenges you see moving forward?
Oh yeah, I mean, investors are on a big halt right now. Interest rates are climbing. Money's not free anymore. Everyone got free money. They spend it like all get out, and things are resetting. And now people who are used to getting free money are having to pay a little bit for it. So there's a lot of speculation. It's and being a solely focused business on this specific thing. We're not out shooting residential homes. We're not out shooting cars for Ford, or products for whatever. We're only doing commercial real estate for investors for the most part. So we have so many teams, unless the brokerage firms start firing and laying off commercial brokers, they're going to have to continue to buy and sell properties, but we just don't know if it'll be the same pace as been the past 2 years. Has definitely slowed down, but things are happening out there. So hopefully in the future, we'll get our hands on some more new build stuff as we try to encroach into new construction and leverage some of those contacts. But I don't know. I mean, it's just that the rates keep going up. People are used to free money, and now money's going to cost a little bit more, and they got to figure out what that margin is. So hopefully it'll keep on. I've been through 2 or 3 massive financial complete shutdowns. In 2008, we saw a 75% drop in billings for the year, which is substantial.
Yeah.
And we were able to bounce back. And of course, that shut down, squeaked out there, maintained our staff, didn't lay anyone off. And now we're back into another lean. I mean, just as soon as we got back to full steam ahead, then so hopefully next year we'll be slow and steady, and we can still win the race,
Yeah. Being persistent, continuing to push through. So if you were to talk to a young person now that is starting their first business, what would your advice to them be?
You're just going to have to work your ass off. That's just all there is to it. And there's no shortage of competition out there. You're starting your own business. You're going to have to really make sure you know what you're doing with your cash and your money. Anyone can have a passion that they try to drive and generate interest with, but really being able to manage books, manage people, and putting in the time and care is really hard work. People don't, a lot of people work for big corporations, so they don't have to do that.
Yeah.
They can be in a marching ant in the rat race and push paper and do their thing, and they don't have to have the dedication or what's the word I'm looking for? Responsibility for, you know, the CEO's in charge of everything. And that person, that requires a certain leader and a certain kind of angle of person to rally the troops and get them together, versus someone who works for the corporation who punched it at 9 to 5, and that's perfectly suitable. It's two different kind of mindsets. So starting your own thing, I mean, you don't get any days off. Your life becomes your pursuit. And that's a lot of people, you know, they don't want to put in the time. They don't want to put in the extra 10%. And that's really where the people who, especially right now, there's so much more competition. And in our area, projects aren't happening as robust as it's going to be shaking out some people who normally wouldn't have been in the market to begin with. So it's definitely challenging to try to stay in for the long game.
Yeah. So
Good luck.
Stay motivated. Make that extra call. Make that extra meeting. Keep pushing through.
No one else is going to promote you but you. And if you've got a good idea, you're not the only one. So you got to be able to make yourself stand out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you said you guys are servicing area throughout the Sun Belt and the Southeast. What's the best way for folks to get a hold of you if they're interested in you shooting one of their projects?
Capitalphotography.com is our website. And pretty much covers everything that we, you know, facilitate, inside out asset audits, ultimately, of commercial properties. If they're going to market, they want to know what's like in there, who's the tenant, what's the state of the property, what's working, what's the lobby look like. You got to have all those things. You got to have them consistent across the board. You're promoting anything, you're going to want, you don't want a shuffled deck. You don't want 5 iPhone pictures and 5 pictures from 10 years ago and then 3 pictures from last week because they finished the lobby that the intern did. You know, you're representing is multi-million-dollar property for a transaction, or just for its operation, having a up-to-date, cohesive, consistent library for all the things now, because you're going to be putting it in Instagram, you're going to be putting it in LinkedIn, you're putting it in your Facebook, I guess, isn't really a place where our social situations really overlap, but you have to have all that media. And clients now are slowly starting to hear that and expand from the offerings that we have other than just photographs.
Awesome. So last question is, what is most inspiring to you as you move forward in your business today?
Most inspiring is raising the bar for what we can deliver and how efficient we can actually be, because the past year's definitely been, the past 20 years has been a learning curve of how to get pictures in and out as good and as tight and as fast as possible. And it's been distilling and distilling and distilling and distilling, and coming into the end of this year, looking at how we did things last year, is just so much more efficient, and finding ways to squeeze 10 more minutes out of the day, finding a more quicker way to do things more thoroughly. And as we do that, we can keep adding layers. So it used to be one camera, you just need one camera. You go out, you shoot the place, you got one camera. Then you got 2 cameras. Well, how can I make 2 cameras work at the same time for me? Okay, well, now that 3 cameras can work for me, how can I get 4 to do cameras? Well, how can I get 5 and 6? And so the past couple of weeks, we've had 6, 7 cameras operating during the same sunset, all over peppered throughout, across the interstate, all over.
Yeah.
Harvesting the sunset in their cameras while we're on site running camera 5 and 6, flying the drone and shooting on the ground and getting 5 and 6 other vantage points taken care of, coming back with not just a bunch of photos, but a library of media that can be chopped up and spit out and really used to amplify They're buildings. I mean, it's such a simple concept. It's pictures of buildings. It's not nuclear science, but
Yeah. Awesome.
it takes a finesse.
That's right. A master of your craft. Awesome. Well, hey, Kevin, I really appreciate your time, and thank you for joining me for the interview today.
Yeah, appreciate it.